Hello there, welcome to another episode of Mid-Island Custom Diecast. My name is Evan, and today we'll be doing the 3 blind mice build for October, the 75 Chevy Caprice from Matchbox. Let's have a look at what we started with. It's a 2019 champagne colored version. As you can see, pretty boring, no details on the front or back. Not digging the champagne color and the cream colored interior. So I went ahead and pre-drilled, and I don't tap, I just use the self-tapping screws, but we put the screws in, put the car back together. So let's take it out and have a look what we're working with. The plastic base is matching color to the body, so we'll be switching that and swapping the wheels. The interior we'll paint black and do a little detail, maybe switch out the steering wheel. And like I said, we already drilled and put some screws in here, so we'll put those back together. Now this was already been through the stripper, and really none of the paint came off, and I mean none. So here I am going to work at it with some steel wool, wire brush on my Dremel, and then another different kind of steel brush on the Dremel, and then some more steel wool and even some sandpaper. Yeah, dental picks. I really worked at the paint for probably 20 minutes or so. Anyway, we finally got it all cleaned off, and here's what it looks like. I've started with the casting lines on both. It really went up and down both sides of the car, and so take the needle files and just work them. It doesn't take a lot, you know, just file it till it's nice and flat. And after a little while with the files, we'll switch over to some sanding sticks. And this is obviously sped up, not obviously not that quick. And so anyway, after the sanding sticks, we go over that another time with the steel wool, and we'll give it a bath in degreaser, and it's ready for the paint booth. So while that's drying off from the degreaser, I went ahead and painted the base, glued in some tubes, axle tubes, and filled it with some needles just so I could paint using the Lodc deep black for the base. It's got a bit of a satin finish, which I like, and with the needles in the tubes we won't get that all gummed up with paint. Okay, once the black paint is dry, I've got this chrome paint I've been trying out. It's not as good as the Stuart Semple, and it's really not even as good as the Lodc, but I do like the look of it. I think it's maybe a little more realistic for this scale. I don't know, I find it easy to work with, so that's what we're doing on the rear bumper, the front bumper and grille, as well as I'll end up doing the side skirts and stuff as well. So here we're just continuing on with the grille. And after the bumper and grille are finished, we switch to a white for the headlights. Just basically a little dab in each one. Don't mess around with it too much, then it won't look like a circle. At least it won't for me. After the white dries up some, I'm gonna do some Nuln Oil. You can see I've already done it in the grill, and we'll put it around the lights just to give them some more definition and shading. And then we'll move on to the body, which will get a couple of coats of Tamiya's gray primer I'm finding it working a lot better for me than the white lately. Anyway, here's what that looks like. We'll let that dry. And now my plan was to go with a duplicolor metal cast in red, and I've got this burner chrome from Molotow, the chrome spray. So I'm going to attempt to use that for the base coat. And here that is. We've already sprayed the car in the chrome. And we'll go ahead and put the first sort of light or tack coat on for the metal cast. This works similar to the Spectre Flame paints in that the more layers you put on, the more coats, the darker it gets. And so this is the third coat, and ultimately where I decide I'm happy with the color. So we'll let that dry, throw it in the toaster oven, and we'll come back to that tomorrow. Now we're going to pop those pins out of the base or the chassis so that we can put on our Lodc wheels. I ordered these online a while back, and these ones came with these little gold brake discs, and so I'm just going to paint them all in red. And you can see here we've got those wheels on now, and you can see the discs through them. They fit okay, and the wheels roll just fine, but I do find the discs kind of pop out every now and then. Anyway, as a Patreon member over at Flying Valiant, Chuck does a little giveaway every month, and I was lucky enough to win that draw. So he sent me over a bunch of 3D printed parts and some other stuff we discussed. Anyway, this is one of those parts. It's a little steering wheel, and boy, does it make a difference to the look of the interior of this vehicle. Those little nub steering wheels that Hot Wheels uses are uninspired, to say the least. So just a little Gorilla Glue, and we'll affix that to the dash eventually here. There we are. So much better. So we'll give that a quick coat of some flat black. I think it's flat black. Coat it all around where I sanded the dash and all around the steering wheel. We'll come back with some, can't remember, some sort of chrome paint, and touch up the buckles. And I don't know what this thing is in the middle of the front seat. Maybe someone can let me know. Hydraulic switches, or I don't know. Did the seat belts in red, and you can see the center of the steering wheel also done in chrome there. And that'll do it for the interior. Here you can see I've taped up the body where some of the cars anyway I've seen have a vinyl roof, vinyl top. So I am going to use a flat, I think it's a, oh yeah, it's the deep black from Molotow chrome, Molotow paints, and we're going to spray that on. And not quite, it doesn't really have the texture obviously that the Redline Shop's vinyl roof paint has, but I was afraid to use the airbrush at this stage of the project, so here we have it. Anyway, I'll take the tape off and see how that looks. Skip most of it. Here's the final piece coming off. There we go. And I was pretty happy with it. It actually is a nice sort of satin finish to it. Kind of actually looks like vinyl. Anyway, we'll throw on the Molotow pen on the side trim and door handles. And once that's all dried up, we're ready to get it put back together. And this is where things take a turn for the worse for me on this build. I don't know if there was some debris on the rag I was using, but as you'll see here in a second, after getting the car all screwed back together and excited and ready to put it back on the turntable and have a week to edit this video instead of doing it now, Friday night, I got this big ding right on the hood where it meets the front fender, and the roof has a couple of little things in it. Anyway, I just wasn't the ding on the hood was the straw that broke the camel's back here, and the whole thing goes back in the stripper. Anyway, we'll skip all of the other stuff, but I wanted to include this because I was rather proud of myself for attempting the black vinyl roof simulation paint from the Redline shop. So we got out the airbrush and basically well, I didn't really stop in between coats. I just did one coat and slowly covered the red until I was at a level of black I was happy with. And as we wrap this up, we'll have a quick look at how that turned out. Pretty happy with that. Can't see any red. And so here's the final piece of masking tape coming off. This time and here's a look at that vinyl top. Really much better, in my opinion, than the previous paint that I used. And I switched up the chrome this time for just a Rust-Oleum chrome. I'm much happier with the finish. Anyway, here's all the pieces. I'll put them back together and have a look at what we ended up with. Here it is on the turntable. You can see the side trim this time was the silver Sharpie instead of the Molotow pen. The black vinyl roof simulation paint from the Redline shop, and the Duplicolor red. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I did have to do a couple of touch-ups, which you can sort of see maybe, but I'm not going to tell you where they are. Details on the front grille, headlights. See the tail lights, there's a little ding in the plastic on the back there. I didn't think I could fix it well enough, so I didn't bother touching it at all. You can see the chrome paint on the chassis along the sides there. Those Lodc wheels look good. Anyway, pretty happy with this project. I want to thank the guys at the Three Blind Mice for putting these events on. Really give me some motivation and a reason to pick a casting I maybe wouldn't otherwise. I want to thank all of you for watching and liking and subscribing the videos. Really is a great community here, and I'm glad you could stop by. Anyway, we'll have a few glamour shots at the end and a little flyer for a Tonka build with Diecast Sheriff and some other folks in January to keep you reminded of, and we'll see you all next time.